Do you think people focus maybe too much on your looks and don't even realize that you're just a shitty actor?
Brad Pitt. Once upon a time.
Do you still remember Brad Pitt? Of course, it's hard to forget him. The man who once made the world hold its breath every time he appeared on screen. With his handsome looks, killer smile, and charismatic aura, he quickly became a Hollywood heartthrob.
This really is about Quentin Jerome Tarantino. You are original. You are one of a kind. The film industry would be a much drier place without you. And I love the ethos you gave Cliff Booth. Leo, I'll ride on your coattails any day, man.
But behind that dazzling appearance lies a lonely, silent journey full of heartbreak and shadows. A complex personal life that, perhaps, shaped the legendary man and career more than any Oscar ever could. He had the looks. He had fame. But what he didn't have was peace. Join us as we dive deep into the story of Brad Pitt, a story where, perhaps, you might see a piece of yourself. In the 90s, Brad Pitt quickly rose to become one of the most sought-after actors in the world. From the charming cowboy in Thelma, Louise, 1991, earning a mere 6-0, Brad instantly became a global sex symbol. Then, his rugged, wild beauty in Legends of the Fall, 1994, solidified his status as a leading man and heartthrob in the hearts of millions. And then, Fight Club, 1999, arrived, proving he was more than just a pretty face. Brad Pitt bravely took on darker, more complex roles, challenging conventional notions and affirming himself as a talented actor.
Brad Pitt, 12 Monkeys.
Oh, no. I'd like to thank the makers of KO Pectate.
He even earned his first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor in 1996 for his explosive performance in 12 Monkeys. His face graced every magazine cover, and his films consistently sold out. He wasn't just a symbol of beauty, he embodied a golden youth, something pure, rebellious, and effortlessly cool that an entire generation admired. But what happens when the spotlight starts to dim, and fairy tales gradually become harsh realities? Before his most famous marriages, Brad Pitt had a notably romantic relationship with actress Gwyneth Paltrow. They met on the set of the thriller, Vennen, 1995, and quickly became one of Hollywood's hottest couples. They were even engaged in 1996, but eventually called it off in 1997. Despite their separation, Gwyneth later referred to Brad as the love of her life in several interviews, hinting at the deep connection they shared. Then came two of the most high-profile relationships in Hollywood history. First was the fairy tale marriage with Jennifer Aniston. They were America's sweethearts, a picture of happiness the whole world adored. But that fairy tale faded when Brad met Angelina Jolie on the set of Mr. Mrs. Smith. Brangelina was born in Empire of Love and Family with 6 children, captivating millions around the globe. And then, it all fell apart. The divorce between Brad and Angelina in 2016 sent shockwaves globally. It wasn't just a breakup, it became a saga of court battles, a bitter and prolonged fight for custody. The climax was an incident on a private plane with his son Maddox. Although Brad was later cleared by the FBI and Child Protective Services, the media storm had already erupted. But the real heartbreak wasn't the scrutiny. It was the absence of his children in the very home he built. The fractured bond, especially with Maddox, left scars deeper than public opinion ever could. After all the noise faded, Brad once uttered a line that resonated with millions. "I was in my house, but I felt like a stranger." And that line? That line made people stop. Because who among us hasn't felt alone in a room full of loved ones? Who hasn't questioned their place in the space they call home? He battled alcoholism, he wrestled with depression, and he faced himself not on the screen, but in silence, in healing, in joining Alcoholics Anonymous and confronting the shadows he once ignored. Brad didn't return with a splash, he returned with purpose. He chose roles with introspection, like in Ad Astra, 2019, where he played a man searching the stars for meaning and reconciliation with his father. Then came Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, the role that won him his first Oscar for acting. Though he had long been praised, this marked a new chapter. A man in control, grounded, real. He'd already earned an Oscar as a producer for 12 Years a Slave, 2013, and had nominations for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and Moneyball. Even in Babylon, 2022, a film that didn't hit box office gold, Brad's performance glowed. No tabloids, no scandals. Just a man, his craft, and a quiet path forward. A father who, despite the custody battles, kept his children's drawings, who watched from afar, who loved regardless. Yes, the headlines said Shiloh wanted to drop Pitt from her name. That must hurt. But fatherhood for Brad was never about control. It was about presence even in absence. At 60, Brad Pitt is still handsome. But now, it's the beauty of a man shaped by honesty, loss, and growth. The kind of beauty time doesn't steal, it deepens. Brad Pitt is more than just a movie star. He's a mirror, a symbol, a man who fell apart and put himself back together. Have you ever loved Brad Pitt? If not, maybe after this story, you will. Not for his looks, not for his fame, but for his fight. Because he reminds us that fame doesn't protect you from pain, that strength isn't loud, and that the heart never stops yearning for love even at 60.